fresh goose. She likes the dog 'cause she's a goose. And she is a goose. She has a goose 'cause she's a goose. Goose, it's the fresh goose. She likes to turn around 'cause she's a goosey goose. It's the fresh goose, the fresh goose. Fresh Goose Podcast. Hey everyone, this is Carl Smith. Carl Smith. I'm taping an introduction to the Fresh Goose Podcast, number 18, I think. This is going to be with Shea Little, who's the director of Big Medium. I'm going to go ahead and just let the thing play. Having one of those bad days. But I want to thank you all for listening, and hopefully this Shea Little interview will work out. He's been in Austin forever. He's an amazing artist and organizer and admin professional, I guess is what you call artists that have nonprofits that are successful. Responsible for the Texas Biennial, West Austin Studio Tour, East Austin Studio Tour. Hopefully I'll learn more about Canopy, which is where Big Medium is located. And anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, I would say that there's nothing that's really...
If I turn my head this way, I'm just looking at the battery, making sure it's recording. Do you know Philip Trussell?
Yeah, I know of him.
He's like this older painter.
Yeah, Michael Schlefke and Chris Chappell and a few others were sort of... He was like the mentor of them.
Yeah.
Certainly Michael Schlefke.
Yeah.
So that's how I met Philip Trussell once, but just barely said hello, and that's about it.
Yeah, I've been sort of... I don't know if you would say that. I've been trying to study with him. I did this podcast with him yesterday. It was fucking awesome. Like an hour. You know, he's studied at Yale. He's been painting for like 60 years. And it was just his whole life story. It was like great. And then I got home and the fucking thing wasn't on there. It just like disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. And he's a Luddite. Like he doesn't really do anything. Doesn't have a computer. Yeah. So he has this really hermetic... outlook of everything. He's like writes poetry and and it was like the 17th one, and it was like the best one I'd ever done. Like I wasn't nervous. I directed him well. Yeah. Oh fuck. So anyway, I'm gonna be nervous that this is not working, but I think it'll be. I think it'll be all right. I think it was my fault. But man, thank you for coming. This is awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to do it.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of trouble getting artists to do it.
Really?
Yeah. Like painters, maybe some older painters, they usually don't email me back, which is, I get it. But if they do, they're like, well, I don't know what a podcast is. How much are you paying me? You know?
Right.
So I've actually been kind of branching out into like comedians and entertainers.
Cool.
Which is okay. But I really wanted this to be about artists in Austin. Yeah. So I'm really glad that you're doing it. Thank you.
Sure.
And thank you for, of course, all the stuff you do for our city. Can't be easy. Can't be just whatever. Just go. I mean, you must be busting your ass doing all the stuff that you do.
At this point now, I have busted my ass, and so now I'm actually fortunate enough to have a great team that I'm working with. So all of us collectively are working hard, but it's definitely gotten mostly past the stage of just like endless, hourless, tireless work.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
You have a life and shit.
Well, I mean, I was forced to have a life. My wife and I just had our third child recently. He's 6 weeks. No, 2 months.
What?
Yeah.
3 kids?
3 kids now.
Son of a bitch. I got a vasectomy when I was really young.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because
might have been a wise choice.
Jesus. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, some people have kids and some don't, and we went for the kid route. And
awesome.
I mean, we didn't think about career. We learned all that stuff, like how it affects careers and how it affects like Jana, my wife. I certainly don't want her to feel like she needs to be a stay-at-home wife, and we work hard to make her not that. And that was never really thought about until it just happened, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, well, now we have kids, we're a kid, and how do we work out being artists? And that was kind of in the midst of my transition from being a dedicated artist to an arts administrator.
And a father.
Yeah, and a father.
Just
and
another...
so all these transitions, and just like learned slowly over. Our oldest son Kai is now 6, so over those 6 years I've learned how to balance these things, and I've learned the hard way, definitely the hard way of how to like prioritize family over work.
Yeah, and still get your art made somehow too.
Yeah, now I administrate.
Yeah.
I do all the nonprofit side, and I do a little bit of stuff, but I really just am empowered by providing services to artists and helping Austin grow and the artists here grow. And someday I will make art again.
Yeah. And littlesweck.com, that's kind of some of your art is there. Jana's art is there too.
Yeah. Yeah, most of that's old.
Sure.
I mean, Jana still works in that same vein, the illustrative tree stuff. And we've done some collaborative works sort of in that vein, but back when we had that site more active, actually I just made it real quickly and then was like, I'll update this, and then never did.
Yeah.
So I think it probably is about 6 years old.
6.
Right around when we had our kids, and then, haven't done much.
Okay. So there's like not too many places online to see your art, necessarily.
There's not many.
Okay.
I've been meaning for a while to get back into it.
Sure.
And what's on that site is kind of where I still am, pretty much. I mean, that's where I was thinking, my thinking was going that direction. A lot of the exploded diagram type stuff, which really represented me, my mental state at the time. And I'm still in that thinking, that kind of like mindset, but I don't know, shifting a little bit. And definitely not being able to focus much on my creative practice, so it's sort of dormant back here somewhere.
It's there.
Yeah.
So are you from Austin?
Yeah.
Oh shit. How old are you?
36.
Wow. Okay. That's young. And did you go to school in New York?
Yeah, the School of Visual Arts.
Okay. So, and when you were here, what part of town were you living in?
As a kid?
Yeah.
Most of it was in North Austin, off Oakview, which is off 183.
Okay.
Near the Arboretum, near Jollyville, kind of the north. My folks had like a farm up off Anderson Mill Road, back when I was the country.
Yeah.
Now it's the suburbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then so they moved a little bit closer into town to get into closer school districts. And then when I got into high school, we moved into the woods of Westlake. Not Westlake proper, but
okay.
the woods out there.
Yeah. Is that a suburb, or are they literally the woods of Westlake?
It's just like the wooded area. It's near Great Wild Basin Natural Preserve, so it's kind of like they're still in the heart of Austin, but it's a nice wooded area.
And you were doing art that whole time, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a doodler and a drawer, and I kind of had a very illustrative, cartoonish style as a kid. And that's totally gone from my hand these days. But it was just how I did stuff. I was always a doodler.
Yeah.
And that's what ended up pushing my parents, I think, to get me into, and my brothers and sisters, into St. Stephen's. Partially that we were supposed to go to Westwood in North Austin, and it was not a great school. At the time, my brother was there, and my parents were worried, and they were also looking to get out of the suburbs, so they moved to Westlake, and we were fortunate enough to get enrolled into St. Stephen's, and that school was perfect for me to allow me to focus on art. They shaped my education around art, which was awesome.
Did you go to UT at all?
No, I graduated high school, and the St. Stephen's had I think they probably still do, but I bet most high schools do. They bring in like college recruitment sessions.
Yeah.
So someone from SVA came down and said, "Hey, here's a cool school. It's in New York City. Come to it." And so out of school, I just said, I'm going to apply to that school. I applied to School of Visual Arts and said, if I don't get in, I'm going to reassess my life. I'll figure out what I'm going to do, and maybe I'll go into art. If I do get in, I'm going to pursue this art thing.
Uh-huh.
And I got in, and then later found out that they accept everybody who applies.
That can't be true.
I think they do.
They gotta reject someone.
I don't. Well, they probably have some capacity, but you know, it's just like a high acceptance rate,
Sure.
and then they let the school weed out the people who are actually right for it.
Sure. And was there any scholarships involved?
No.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
It can't be fucking cheap to...
No, it wasn't cheap, but I also I am very lucky. I've had parents and grandparents on both sides who put college funds together as a young kid. So
Sorry if that's too personal, but
oh no, that's fine.
a big part of the podcast is really trying to get artists in Austin to talk openly about business aspects of their careers, like how do they even have a strategy for making money? How were they making money?
Yeah.
How did they pay for this?
No, I'm happy to talk about all that because I feel extremely fortunate, and I know I have had a relatively blessed life.
Uh-huh.
I'm not religious either. I use that term very loosely, blessed.
Oh, you're not at all?
No.
Are you atheist?
Not really. I mean, I believe, I'm not like mysticist or mystical or anything, but I believe, I mean, from a very scientific family.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, back to the UT thing, they all went to UT. Like the UT professors, and they all graduated from UT, and so I'm the black sheep who went to art school.
Yeah. It's very unique within Texas. Like the second you get out of Austin, it's Christian country for miles and miles.
Yeah, so my folks, they were totally open to religion and let me go to church with some friends who invited me as kids, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. And it never really took. And I mean, it's not like we are atheists. We're just agnostic, non-religious people, but we believe in, you know, science and the unknown. And that could include a lot of crazy things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to stay in New York after school?
It was... I had an amazing time there, and I thought about it briefly, but decided that I had to come back. There's something about Austin, at least something about the, whatever region this is, the Southwest, about Texas that growing up here made me crave it or desire it or need to be around it. Because the Northeast was amazing. New York is... I would love to spend time there if I could again. I'd have to have a lot more money. Maybe no kids.
Yeah, that saves money there.
Yeah, but
It's supposed to be like $1 million or something. By the time they're 18, you've spent around $1 million, roughly.
Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, the weekly grocery bill is ridiculous.
And if they get sick, anyway.
Right.
I'm good. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're a father.
But yeah, New York, the density and I'm just sort of an open air, big sky type of person, and I need my green space. I need my personal space.
Yeah, and it's cool meeting people from here that give a shit about the city and have this. They need to like love the city a little bit.
Yeah,
it's not a fun place to be an artist. It's not a great place. We have a hard time retaining artists.
Yep.
And I can't blame them for leaving. But when someone does stay, it's like, thank God, because we need artists here bad who are willing to do the work and take kind of a cut, maybe financially. I don't know.
Yeah, or career-wise.
Career-wise, yeah.
Which does relate to finance. You know, oftentimes it does come down to artists who put down roots and have kids,
yeah,
families.
Yeah.
And they end up staying. I mean, that's the nice thing about Austin is just the comfort.
Yeah.
Whether you have family here or you start your family here, it's easy. And it's laid back. And if you can supplement your artistic career with teaching or some other job that still allows you to do your art, then the sort of, I mean, this is now the old mentality, but the slacker, laid back, easy mentality makes this place comfortable and good for a lot of people.
Yeah, I came here in the early 90s when that was I'm from Houston, and I moved here kind of as a teenager, and I hated slackers. And those are my friends that I met when I got here, and they were like, let's go to Les Amis, look how mean the waiters and waitresses are to people. Let's get high a lot. And I wasn't doing that, but everyone else was. And it was like, fuck, I don't want to do this, but it is comfortable. And there is enough of a scene for it to be engaging. But damn it, when Russell Etch and Deborah Bros, like these artists that are just awesome, they just keep leaving, and it's very sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But
And I think it decreases the quality too of the art that is represented in Austin, because then you end up with, like you're saying, and I don't shit on craft people or hobbyists, but I think that number increases where you have people that are accepting this laid back lifestyle,
right.
and they're making a lot of art, and they have the money and time to put it out there. And are you seeing, like, when you do East and stuff, are you seeing, like, what kind of percentage are you seeing in terms of artists that are wanting to make a living, wanting to have careers, and wanting to just get on the tour and meet people and introduce people to their art?
It's a big mix. I mean, probably the majority is, if there were a majority, and I think there is, the majority would be people trying to make a living off of their art.
Good, yeah.
But that also means that they're making more production style work.
Yeah.
Which, if you're talking about the craft side of things, it's functional things.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about more of the art side, and these are hugely stereotyping things that it's gray. The whole area is this big gray field, and so talking about it's hard to say anything with clarity.
Yeah, art's impossible to define.
Yeah.
But we do work, I mean, I think Big Medium does work in this high art, conceptual art realm, which isn't bad or better or worse than anything else. It's just a different way of promoting art and producing certain artists that are saying, this is, high art maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we want to support as broad a spectrum of art as possible.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this sort of plays into what you're talking about when it's sad when you see, really top artists leave Austin.
Yeah.
But so when you look at the whole spectrum and you want to promote everyone in there,
Yeah.
kind of in one, like, pass of the hand, like, hey, everyone, art.
Yeah.
The really, in my opinion, the subjective great artists have a hard time being associated with some of the craft or non-conceptual, more production style artists.
Yeah.
They want to be sort of like, we're the capital A artists over here, and those are the lowercase a, so they should be over in this category. And so yeah, when you look at the ebb and flow of artists in Austin, and you start losing some of those, like, high quality top level artists, it is frustrating because you need them here to attract more top quality artists. Like, there's sort of a the magnetic properties of, like, really great institutions, really great artists,
Mm-hmm.
that attracts more people, more collectors, more patrons.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like this balancing act.
Yeah, and people start associating those artists with the city.
Right.
And I think we're at a point now where there's a lot of music and stuff, and the art thing has always had trouble getting up there and getting people to recognize that Austin is a good place to be. Like you said, a diverse mix of artists can live here, and the money thing comes up all the fucking time with everybody. Like, I haven't really met anyone that has a good strategy for making just the most simplest of livings as a visual artist.
Right.
Making it work.
It's a hugely problematic issue. And also, I mean, to play into that or to speak more to that is something that I think is hugely important, and that's trying not to always make art about money.
Yeah.
But somehow you have to support the artist so that they can... Because if you want someone to be... It's basically like having a research and development fund for artists to just make stuff and considering it part of, like, the research and development of humanity.
Uh-huh.
But you don't have any major corporation pouring money into this fund to fund artists to do that, because there's no ultimate end goal there. It's not like you're going to develop some awesome new drug that's going to cure hair loss and then make billions of dollars because of that.
Right.
It's just like, we're going to make this crazy thing. We're going to invent a new color, and that actually might make lots of money if you invent a new color.
And go into advertising with it.
Right. So yeah, there's that side. I'm hugely wanting to support more is we often talk a lot about how arts are an economic generator, and that's really how we're trying to push the we I'm talking about is like in municipal government and grant writing and all these things that are like trying to show, whether it's the legislature or city council or corporations, that arts are important. They're economic generator.
Yeah.
It is an economic generator. Artists generate a lot. They put back into the economy.
Yeah. The most.
Yeah.
Visual artists. That's
it's a huge,
not the most, but compared to some other things.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a major component of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as that does need to be celebrated and shown to everyone possible, I also want to think about and figure out how to fund the arts that aren't meant to be part of the economy.
Yeah.
They're meant to be just weird, crazy stuff that doesn't. There's no way to monetize it. It's just it's just there. It exists. It's important and has to be experienced in some way, but you can't put dollar signs on it at all.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of what we're trying to do with the gallery. Tiny bit. It's sort of like this little attempt on our behalf to support that. But that's a huge thing unto itself.
And you've always had an awareness, like I know East kind of came first, is that right?
Yeah.
Before West or before Canopy or before Biennial or Big Medium or...
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get the timeline a little right. East, what year was this starting?
So prior to East, it was 2002. I had moved back from New York, and Jan and I were at the School of Visual Arts together. She had a year more than I did to go. And so she came back in 2001. We were just goofing off. And then we eventually got a warehouse over at Bohm. We got our space over there in 2002, and we started working with Joseph Phillips.
Okay.
And the three of us just had this funky studio space that we lived in and had our studio there, and would eventually like clear out part of the studio and turn it into a gallery space.
Uh-huh.
And so that basically led us to connect with a few people in the neighborhood, and eventually we were like, hey, let's do a studio tour, because we were starting to get people to come over to our space in 2002, 2003, and we were on the east side, the scary, and we were way out east. We thought we were like out of town, and now it feels central.
This isn't the Bohm location.
Yeah.
It is? Oh, the same one?
Yeah.
Okay, so on Springdale by Canopy, sort of.
Yeah, it's east of Airport and Springdale on Bohm.
Uh-huh. Wow.
By Go Valley Park.
I guess that was a shitty part of town at one point.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine, because now it's like condos.
Well, East Austin, when we first went over there, and ever since I've been a kid, East Austin was the scary part of town. It's the wrong side of the tracks, the low-income minority community. I mean, I have to clearly say that is the wrong...
Yeah, it's not accurate. It's not that scary. And
Yeah.
if you go to Houston or Chicago, like, those are like, it's not that dangerous here ever.
Yeah. Yeah, but there
Comparatively.
was a stigma there, and people were scared to come over. So when we started to see people come over, it was a very interesting thing. Like, well, there's appetite. There's people who want to, get involved, and there's other artists who are around us. So let's do a studio tour. So in November of 2003, we kicked off the first tour, and it had 28 artists.
Wow.
And then we followed that one up. At the time, we were like, let's do it every twice a year. So we'll do it in the spring, and we'll do it in the fall.
Okay. Oh,
Did
wow.
the first one in the fall, came back around, did it again in the spring, May, and then after that we realized that was crazy.
Yeah.
And so we went to doing it once a year, and ran the tour for, I guess, from 2003 till 2007 as just an unincorporated group of artists doing the tour.
Was it a non-profit at that time with grants?
We were getting funding through the city, the cultural funding program, as a sponsored project.
Okay.
We were, Joseph and I both went to St. Stephen's together, and Boyd Vance was the theater teacher there. So we knew Boyd.
Yeah.
And he was running the African American Technical Resource Center / Pro Arts. They had kind of a dual name. And Boyd sponsored us. He brought us under his wing and taught us all there is to know about it. And
passed away, right? Like 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I remember his place and stuff. He's an awesome part of the community.
Yeah.
Was Harold McMillan, is that kind of an out branch of that? And
I don't know how Harold...
I don't know if they were connected anyway.
Yeah. he's definitely been involved in the tour from early on, if not, I don't think from the beginning, but from very early on. But his thing, Diverse Arts, I think was a separate.
Okay.
But I don't know. On the outside, it looks, you never know until you look a little bit deeper and like, oh, you're actually a sponsored project. You're not a official nonprofit. You're being umbrellaed by someone else's nonprofit.
Right. So, did the Biennial come after East? Is that when you started doing that?
Well, yeah. I mean, chronologically, East started first. So we technically got studios first.
Okay.
We got our studio space, and then we were running a gallery, but not really officially. And then we did the studio tour until 2003, and then in 2004 is the first time we met as a group to talk about the Texas Biennial. And that was with me and Joseph and Jana. We represented our contingent, and then John Lawrence, he was running They Who Search Studios, was that what he called it? It's at 3rd and Chicon, that old building, which is still up and running now as something. He was running a studio space there, and then Arturo Palacios, he at the time was running the Dougherty Arts Center.
Oh, wow.
So we all got together and we're just like throwing out ideas like, hey, let's do a big... At first we were like, let's do a 5-county show around Travis. Like, just get all the counties together and do like a big juried show. And me and Joseph and Jana had jokingly been like, let's do a biennial. Just like throwing out stupid terms like,
well, it doesn't
how do we do more stuff?
It's not, that's the only thing in Texas like that, right? I mean, there wasn't...
After this meeting, we all like, hey, let's do a biennial. Like, yeah, we'll make lots of money. It'll be amazing. We talked about doing the biennial, and then we did some research and found out that there was a Texas biennial in Dallas in like 80 or 90 something.
Yeah.
And Houston tried a Texas triennial. Maybe that was the earlier one in the 80s. Both were a little bit more institutionally focused, or originated from institutions. Dallas was from an arts group, and Houston was, I think, from the contemporary CAM, and both just did a one and done thing.
Sure.
So we felt like we had every right to take the name and call it ours.
Yeah. It's awesome. That's awesome. I enter every time.
Good.
Yeah, it's cool. So I guess West is after Canopy. Is that right?
West came around, we're on the 4th, so 2011 was the first. Is that right? No, that'd be 5. So 2012 was the first, and Canopy was in 2013. Yeah, so we were right. We did our first West Austin studio tour in 2012.
Oh, so pretty recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're coming up on the 4th West.
Is it kind of the same amount? Sorry, I'm all over the place.
That's fine.
But is West and East now? Is it kind of the same amount of artists that are entering?
No, East. So the 2014 East had 460 some odd artists.
Jeez. Okay.
And this West has 260.
Big difference. Yeah.
They have about the same number of locations, so it's just density and pretty much just density. There's about 150 locations on East, and there's about 150 on West.
Okay.
West is a bigger geographic area too, so it's more spread out.
Not centralized or anything.
Yeah, not centralized. It has a much. It has a hugely different feel. It feels like there's a lot less impact in the region that it's taking place. Like during East, you can feel that there's like this energy, and there's people out, and they're holding catalogs, or looking at maps, or on their bikes.
Yeah.
With West, it's just in the middle of Austin, and so Austin's just buzzing and doing what Austin does every day of the year.
And you're self-guiding to the spots.
Yeah.
But you still do a group show for West. Okay. So people go to that and they have an idea of, they're going to get an idea. It's like a giant 400. I mean, everyone kind of participates. What percentage would you say participate in the group shows?
Let's see. We just got our numbers finalized for the group show. There's like 185 who did it. So
people get
more than half.
Yeah, it's good. And people get to actually see some art and get an idea of where they would want to go. Which is really cool. And get to do a fucking show, like a group show.
Well, it's funny because like with East, we've done it so many times, and we've been involved with a lot of the artists on the tour, and I feel like they've also become advocates for what we do as Big Medium, and also what the tour is itself, to talk to other artists and potential new tour comers
Yeah.
or tour participants, that information gets around, I think, feels like a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like a new participant on tour might ask a friend, and be like, hey, you've been on the tour before, what do I do? And they're like, well, you put your sign up and you enter it in the group show. You do that because that's a great way to get people to see your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so with East, we get tons of artists on the group show.
Mm-hmm.
And with West, I feel like it's harder. And we're still trying to explain, like, it's really good. Like, this is a great opportunity. If you have small work or you can make something small, put it in there, because people come to the group show and they'll see your work in person. And it means so much more to see it in person than to see it online or in print.
Yeah.
Like, those are great mediums, but it's not seeing art in person.
Yeah, and people buy stuff.
Yeah, and you can buy the art there.
Yeah, I've been putting stuff in those group shows, and I've been having good luck with selling the piece. And people coming to my studio, I'm sort of off the path a little bit, but I do get good turnout and sell work. And
you show here?
Yeah, show out of my house.
Cool.
I have a studio in the back, and I'd say 50% are my friends.
Yeah.
But the other 50%, it's like 30 people a day ish, somewhere in there.
That's good.
Yeah, it's great.
That's good
Super
for outlier type.
It is.
Studio. I mean, the isolated ones. Some. I'm assuming you do a fairly good job of promoting yourself, because some of the isolated ones are expecting us to just like send 1,000 people to their studio every day.
Yeah.
We're like, well, it's about like all of us together working together to talk about the tour and celebrate the arts, but also you have to just tell everyone to come to your own space.
Yeah, artists are having to self-promote.
Yeah.
That's just where we
Right.
are.
And if you can't do it in this like big time of year, like you're gonna have a hard time doing it any other time. Like, you have to always be a self-promoter.
Fall is when you get it going.
Yeah.
That's when the art stuff happens.
Yeah.
And you gotta jump in on that. Yeah, I feel like a lot of artists I meet coming out of even UT or something, I don't think they're, maybe this is a harsh generalization, but I feel like they're not taught very basic ideas of how to promote, how to, if they sell a piece, they don't know how to pay the fucking state and federal sales tax on that piece, stuff like that. And it's kind of a bummer when people spend that much money on school and they're not focusing on these really important, and I don't know if it's because teachers are lazy or I know that it's hard to teach art.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wish that was more part of what they take just one business class, because you're gonna, unless like what you're saying, there are a lot of artists who just castigate capitalism, and those guys need a home in the nonprofit world. But there are tons of artists that are for profit, and that's fine. But if that's your plan as an artist, it'd be great to get some guidance on how the fuck you're gonna do that.
It's funny because coming out of school, we just dove in and started doing stuff and learning how to self-promote, and as I'm not a total introvert, I've certainly come out of my shell a lot more after getting involved with Big Medium and just being forced to talk to people all the time.
You've got to go on TV and shit.
Yeah, right. And then you're like, okay, fine. You like wear it down. Like, okay, I can deal with it. It doesn't kill me to be in front of people. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely much more introverted than extroverted, and so trying to talk about yourself was really hard. And Joseph, Jan, and myself started a collaborative group, and that actually became so much easier for us, for me in particular. But I could be like, hey, come check out my collaborative thing, or come check out the collaborative thing that So Elitist made. That was the group. And so we could just always talk about art as this other thing, and it wasn't like, here's me pouring my soul into this thing and making this piece. What do you think of it? And if you think it's shit, don't tell me because I'll kill you. I understand how hard that is to like pour everything into something, into a piece of art, and then to try to like tell everyone to come and look at it and talk about it and to expose yourself like that. That is really hard, but it's the necessary step you have to do if you want to be an artist.
Yeah. And if you want to generate any income, and it's just part of our world now. Capitalism's going nowhere. You need to learn, how to talk about your art, how to market it and brand it. I know these are terms that artists hate dealing with, but it's the reality. And it's not that horrible. It's not. It's really not.
It's not. I mean, art is a business, and any art major should take business classes. This is something that after probably about 10 years being out of college, it slowly dawned on me. I was just like, damn it, I wish I had business. Because this is now after I've started a nonprofit and gone off into the nonprofit sector, and sort of not totally left art behind, my own creative practice behind, but have stepped away from it far enough to be like, yeah, not every artist who comes out of art school is just going to make art forever and make a living doing it. They're probably going to get involved in business, but also just being an artist is a business. So business is life, and you have to figure out how to do what you do and make money doing it, or go off and do something else and bring your art to whatever you move to.
Yeah.
So it's all integrated, and it seems crazy that we're not given more arts education at school. I mean, business education with the arts.
Yeah.
I went to Rockport to jury a student exhibition, all under an MFA kids from around the state. It was pretty cool. I felt special going down there.
Where is it?
Rockport Art Center, down near the coast. It's just a little bit north of Corpus.
Oh, cool.
They have a pretty cool art center.
Yeah.
And they do a juried art show from students around the state, and they jury their administrative staff juries it, I think, and then they bring down a prize juror to go and like point out a few pieces that win first, second, and third, and some honorable mentions. And they picked me this year to do that, and I went down there. It was fun doing it, but I spent most of my time, sounding like a broken record, but telling the kids, I was like, this is great if you want to, pursue a career as an artist. I would suggest, if you can, like, get some business classes. That was like my one bit of advice to as many as I could. I was just like trying to preach the word of business.
Well, and now with the internet, you don't have to take a class. That stuff's on YouTube. If you want to learn just a basic idea of, like, or just saying, if you sell something, you have a legal obligation to pay the tax on that income, just learn that part first, and then from there, branch out. You don't have to pay but you do have a responsibility to follow the rules of the land. And capitalism as a culture is, like I was saying, I don't think it's that horrible. And a little bit of respect for how that world works goes a long way to people taking you seriously as an artist.
Definitely.
Instead of just like, fuck them, and just and I get that too. I want artists to do that if they can.
Yeah.
But anyway.
They need to do that. But then also realize and respect how you go about doing business.
Yeah, and Big Medium, are you getting, I know you do solo shows there, you do all kinds of stuff. Are you getting a lot of solicitations from artists to do stuff, or is it?
We get a fair amount.
Yeah.
I mean, we've tried to set up a proposal system, and then we just ended up just getting tons of emails at all times. And
sure.
So right now we're just looking at whatever comes and talking to people and being pretty real about it, because we're trying to get at least a year of our calendar done in advance.
Okay.
And we're also looking towards that sort of that not necessarily commercial realm,
right?
Which certainly reduces the field of options quite a bit. I mean, we get tons of artists that I think are great, and I totally respect what they do, but it just falls into a artistic practice that we're trying to go beyond that. So it's hard. It's hard for us to I mean, I'm obviously not, I don't have the best way of talking about it, so it's hard for us to talk about it. It's it's a practice that's experimental in nature.
Yeah, and that can be more organic.
Yeah.
Than like Canopy and Brent, like there's 45 spaces in there or something.
Yeah, 45.
Yeah, is there a website for Canopy? Sorry, you've got like 10 websites that I have to cover to cover them all. But
there is one that I
for Canopy
scrapped together. It's bare bones. And
there are I know I've like been aware of some galleries in there that will kind of come and go. But are there? I know there's Little Pink Monster. There used to be IEI Gallery. Are there galleries in Canopy now?
There's still Little Pink Monster. Her lease is up through June.
Oh, that's
we're
great.
Trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Because I have a show there at the end of May. And I'm like, fuck. Because I mean, we know galleries have a lot of trouble staying in business. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but...
So there's Little Pink Monster. I want to get back to that point.
Yeah.
Little Pink Monster, Art Science Gallery, Modern Rocks,
Okay.
us, and then a few other little things like Biennial. Yeah, they're web development, video production. They do a lot of stuff, and they have an office space which they're using as a gallery space.
Cool.
It's one of those sort of dual purpose ones. It's a good space. They do a good job of showcasing art.
It is the best space. I mean, I can't believe how awesome Canopy is compared to the other galleries. I mean, just having something like that in our city is unprecedented. The space is amazing, high ceilings, just like, fuck, man. Parking, ample
Right,
parking.
It's a great space, but what I wanted to get back to is that it's unfortunate because you basically have to have either big medium's position, which is we're city funded and we're also caretakers of Canopy, so we get management fees for what we do. So that allows us to offset our gallery costs, which is what we did at Bohm. We rented our studio spaces out for more than the base rent so that we could then cover our gallery costs.
So you get Texas TCA grants too, right?
Yeah.
Grants, okay.
Yeah, so we're getting state and municipal grants, and we're reaching out to foundations. We have corporate and individual support. We're trying to do a lot so that we can be basically a very much publicly funded organization that then tries to celebrate art that isn't necessarily, that try to make sure that the gallery is doing something that doesn't necessarily have to sell art to exist.
Yeah.
We certainly want to support artists and sell their art and give them as much money as possible,
Right.
but our gallery doesn't have to sell any art to exist.
Yeah.
But Art Science and Little Pink Monster have to sell a lot of art to make the gallery work, and that's
Yeah, or they could go nonprofit and write grants. And...
right. But even then, it's hard. Like it's just because if you start adding up the grants that you can possibly get with the time that it takes to run those grants,
Yeah.
run the gallery space. So you're talking about then staff and then rent and overhead and utilities. It does quickly snowball, and all of a sudden you're this big lurching organization as opposed to more of a nimble, singular commercial entity that's trying to sell a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
what model works in Austin? And,
The odds of survival in Austin, in my opinion, as a for-profit seem lower. The entities like Women in Their Work and the entities that tend to exist over a long time, I find being nonprofits, which is great.
Yeah.
But I also want to fucking see and part of the podcast is getting like artists that are thinking along those lines, trying to talk to them, trying to get them together, and just be clear about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And being nimble is great, but making money consistently over a long period of time is difficult. Not just in the fall, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we see longtime galleries like D. Berman close down.
Yeah.
And the little knowledge that I have of that is, he was subsidizing it with his with his own money.
Right.
They're not amazingly
Lucrative.
profitable.
Did he move, Berman? Is he in Wimberville now? I'm not sure.
He moved out to Wimberley and was running a space for a little while out there, and then he's pulled back completely. I think he, for a little while, had like an online presence, and now I haven't heard anything.
Yeah. It's weird. I feel like people that have been in Austin for a long time are somewhat this is something that comes up a lot, but we're holding our breath, seeing tons of people move here, tons of money coming in, and we're all just trying to think and wait that it's going to affect the visual arts scene in a positive way, and it's not happening. But they're going to not stop coming. They're going to not stop bringing their money. I think there is going to be a better future for Austin as a city for artists. But how do you? I mean, for being here forever, your whole life. Like, how do you kind of feel about the changes that are happening in Austin in terms of all the people and the growth and the 58-story condos that are being built? And
I mean, I have to embrace change and growth. I think it's good. I'm a little or very much against capitalism or the mentality of America that says, like, we're only healthy when we're growing.
Yeah.
I think there's another way of looking at that.
Yeah.
Austin needs to be a more dense European or Northeastern style city. We need transportation. We need to really shrink in and look at the urban core and not just keep sprawling out like Houston forever. I mean, where does it stop? You just keep going out and out.
That's the
that stuff is what I'm kind of frustrated with in terms of growth. But otherwise, the growth is good here. I mean, we can have more growth, and we can certainly prosper from that growth in terms of the arts, and we definitely will. I've seen it getting better over the years, and I think it'll continue to get better. Will it drastically change longtime artists here? I have no idea. That's a really hard thing to see change, but as long as I hope the heritage and culture and things that have been the traditions of Austin can stay or grow, aren't just like totally whitewashed and changed, but what we've all worked hard to build and to contribute to Austin as just like the name. We're all part of that name. As long as that doesn't just like get totally bulldozed and covered up by some new skyrise, I think it's good. I think Austin should be a growing and changing city.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see it grow into a bigger, better city somehow. I don't know if that'll happen, but like I said, I didn't like the Austin of the 90s. I'm not super stoked about it right now, but I do want to see what happens, stay here, and I do know artists that are doing it. They're they have careers and they're making it happen somehow.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're seeing a reinforcement of the reality that the gallery system doesn't quite work. Mm-hmm. Certainly not in Austin. I think bigger picture, nationally, internationally, you're seeing the gallery system being questioned more and more. And are we going more online or whatever the next phase is? But I think Austin, the commercial gallery idea doesn't quite work in Austin. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of where this East Austin Studio Tour came from, was like, let's provide an opportunity for artists to sell their work straight out of their studio, so no commission. Yeah. Another opportunity for artists to show their work, because there's not enough galleries for all the artists here to show their work. Yeah. But I think more importantly was that chance for artists to talk one-on-one with someone who comes into their space and says, cool, why'd you do this? Yeah. Because if I go into a gallery and see your art, I'm very unlikely to say, hey, artist, at an art opening, why'd you do this? Right.
And the gallerist is going to be in your shit.
Right. This is what, do you want to buy?
Yeah, 50% commission. Yeah. They tend to, Yeah. But yeah, I'm having a lot of trouble with it. I'm a horrible introvert, and I hate having people in my house. I hate it. It's always random. It's sometimes it's people that don't really care about art. They're just getting out of the house. A lot of times it's art fans, but I never know how to say the right thing and just be a normal fucking person. It's very difficult. But I'm extremely, extremely grateful for the chance to have something like that in our city. I mean, like I said, it's great. There's great. A lot of people are introduced to my art. I sell a lot of art when it happens. Good. People like to come into the studio, and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like the audience wants to get out and explore. Yeah. And like, I've never driven down this road until
Glomar.
Yeah, until today.
You've driven down Springfield. You've driven down Springfield.
And I've been over to Deborah's house back when she lived there. So she was around the corner. Yeah, I mean, this is down the street from my house. This feels like my neighborhood to me still. Yeah. For some people, this might be like the scary part of town. They're like, "Whoa, we're in the crazy part." But I think people want a reason to come over here. Yeah. And look around and definitely want to come into strange people's houses and then there's art there too. So it's just like a cool voyeuristic exploration. Yeah. And hopefully people actually are valuing what they're doing and who they're talking with and their own lives and saying, I should buy some art and put it on my wall.
And maybe there won't be music at this event.
Right.
Every single fucking event in Austin has to have music. And it's like, it's art opening, just look at art. We don't have to sing about it. There doesn't have to be a dance. Yeah. But I think Ethan Azarian has a show in May or something at Bohm. Or no, Pump Project.
Pump, yeah. We talked about doing a show. Ethan was looking around for a space, and I think our window was too tight for him. And
yeah. So who are some of your favorite visual artists in Austin? Or who do you like? Who do you think is like maybe emerging or... So none. Okay.
None.
That's the podcast. Thanks for listening.
I used to have my short list, and it seems like they're disappearing. Like Deborah Bros, I've been a fan of for a long time.
Yeah. And she's in LA now?
Yeah, she's out in L.A.
Did she go to Houston then L.A. or do you know?
I think she went pretty much straight to L.A.
Yeah, raw selection too.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of art that I've bought. Jonathan Faber is a great artist. He shows mostly with David Shelton. We're actually talking with Jonathan about showing at Big Medium. He's also a Biennial artist. Typically, it's artists usually involved in our programming. But yeah, Michael Siebens, someone else who I've been following for a long time. He was one of the people who got involved in the early days of the Biennial to help make it happen. And I've been keeping up with what he's been up to, and all the stuff with OK Mountain's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And Sterling Allen and Michael aren't up and coming. They're certainly mainstays nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a guy at our studio, Philip Harrell, who's doing great paintings.
Okay.
Kind of just like that love of painting. And I work with Kevin McNamee Tweed.
Oh, yeah.
We showed him at Bohm before he came on and started working for Big Medium.
He was booking that space too, right?
Yeah.
But that's ATM now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we moved out of there. And so now Kevin's running the gallery over at Canopy, and I've been a fan of his work since I saw his stuff in like an awkward studio visit. He just had like this huge pile of rocks. And like, ooh, we gotta. And he was just like drawing these crazy, kind of like one-liner jokes that were so much deeper than one-liners, but they just came off it's like instant little one-liners. And we showed a crazy rock exhibition of his, and then he got involved. But his work is great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this podcast goes up pretty quick. I know West hasn't. When does West happen?
It's May 9th and 10th, and the following, the 16th and 7th.
Okay. And when is the? It's not Due West. What would be the group show for West?
Yeah, it's Due West.
It is?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm an asshole. No, good. When is that?
That is April 30th.
And where?
The space we got, Denise Prince did a pop-up there. It's 3300 North I-35.
Okay.
So it's the west side of I-35, access road just north of 32nd Street.
Okay.
New construction. It's where Concordia University used to be.
Oh, cool.
And they're doing like an office park there.
Okay. Google Maps.
Yeah, Google Maps will show it to you.
So we're about at an hour. I mean, we'll just do texasbiennial.com, bigmedium.org. At Big Medium is the Twitter. You know, is there any other websites you want to direct people to?
I think Big Medium pretty much reroutes to all the stuff we do.
Bigmedium.org.
Yeah.
Are there any upcoming shows you want to pump for Big Medium?
The next show in the space, May 29th, is, I'm going to mispronounce her name, Ana Llorente Esteve, or I might be transposing the middle and last name. But her work is going to be awesome.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that show.
What kind of stuff is it?
It's sculptural. I mean, the stuff that I've seen of her work, kind of that led us to putting her in, was large scale sculptural kind of abstractions of real stuff.
Uh-huh.
Kind of. There's another artist I was trying to relate her to, but I can't remember his name. But it's kind of like construction style stuff, but sculptural and freestanding. I saw a little bit of what she's up to, and it doesn't look like that. So I don't quite know what to expect yet.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and then I think we're going to show Erin Curtis, who is a long-time Austin artist, who's now in D.C., but I think she's still sort of maybe close to Austin, maybe going to come back.
Okay.
She's another one of those great artists who has moved on.
Yeah.
But she's going to show with us in September, and I'm looking forward to that one.
Where'd she move to?
DC.
Oh, God. I'm just reading a study about that being the best city, if you're an artist,
Really?
to move to because of the lack. New York is the worst because of the competition and the high cost of living.
Yeah.
But Washington, there's, a lot of galleries, a lot of money, a lot of art buyers, a lot of artists, but not a lot of competition. Like, supposedly that's the best city right now to move to.
Huh.
So I was thinking about moving there, but but then you have to live anyway. But yeah, I mean, fuck, I do love Texas. I don't know why. I don't want to leave Texas, and I've tried. It's tough. I don't know why. Because it's not like super nice and art friendly, but I don't know. Maybe it's just being from here or something. But there's one more thing I wanted to cover was Annie Wells. How did you meet her?
Let's see.
Did you go to one of her? Because she used to have a gallery, kind of on East
17th in Paquito.
Did you go to one of her shows?
Yeah, I've been to a couple of her shows there. I think she came around through a United Way. I don't know. I think it was like, yeah, she was working at United Way and was doing a show and was looking to rent. But she also had her space over on 17th and went to a couple shows there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you go to shows a lot? Do you get out and go to art shows?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I used to do it quite a bit more, and now with kids and it being so hard to get out at night,
yeah,
it is really hard. I mean, even like going to the Blanton or the Contemporary has become like a really hard thing to schedule into my. I should just like be like, hey, it's during the workday. I'm going to go do this. This is for my work, but I don't.
Yeah, and you're kind of stuck during East and West.
Yeah,
you have to
right stuck. I mean, I'm going to try to because West is nice because we have our group space and that's it.
Yeah.
East, I used to. Last year was the first time I didn't have my studio on East. I just officially said, "This is dumb. I shouldn't just like open my studio and put up old work from 6 years ago and say, here's my stuff again. You want to see it?"
Did you break your foot then? I saw you walk. Like I was at Canopy. I saw you walking in a circle on a cell phone, kind of like
I do that a lot.
And it seemed like you had a cast on your foot or something. Maybe not. But.
Oh, I've been. During East I had a weird tendon issue from playing soccer, strained tendon, which makes you feel like you have a bone spur, and so I was kind of I was hobbling for a while.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, I mean, is there, again, I want a big thanks for coming. Big thanks for all you do for the city. For artists, you're one of the, hardest working people helping artists do their stuff and have an opportunity to do it. So a big thanks for that. Is there anything else you want to add? Or?
No, I think this is great.
Cool. Thanks for doing it. I'm sorry I wasn't too organized, but I'm all over the place.
This was totally cool. I love it. And keep doing it. I think we need more of these things, like you and Brian David Johnson and that's it.
Craftworks Dialogue. There's a free beer podcast.
Oh, right, of course.
And they haven't done one for many months now.
Yeah.
And they did Sean Ripple. It's good.
Yeah.
But you have to keep doing them.
Right. We need these to keep happening.
Yeah, and I keep trying to get artists to do it. I'm hoping more artists, if you think of someone who'd be good, who wants to do a podcast, I love trying to get artists to talk about their art. And I think the medium, do you listen to podcasts at all?
When I listened to yours, I was like, it's an hour, what the hell? And I'm like, oh, well, you just sit back and listen to it.
You're supposed to wash dishes and do other shit.
Yeah.
And there's no art ones, like, anywhere. I mean, there's the couple here, but, like, just generally speaking, artists don't use that medium to talk about their art. It's mostly comedians and politics and everything else. But yeah, you're definitely supposed to put it on your iPod and do 15 other things. It's not intentional.
Yeah, that's what I did for you, and I was listening to Brian David Johnson's.
Yeah.
And I was just working and I had it on and I was in a conversation with, I was in the office, so people were like, what are you listening to? And it was a good way because you don't have to just like sit there and stare at the wall and listen to it. No. Which you could do, but you're not
supposed to do that.
Okay.
I think it's for people in offices, that have shitty jobs that are staring at it. They need something in their brain, while that's happening. So, yeah, this is number 18 or something. Shea Little, thank you so much.
Yeah,
High five.
You. All right.
Quick spot, drop-in spot for canvasland.net. This is an advertisement during the Fresh Goose podcast for canvasland.net. It is your Austin-based, finest made artist painting supports, handmade with pride in Austin, Texas, with sustainable materials such as hemp canvas. And if you've never painted on hemp, I would suggest you try it. If you've ever put a brush to paper or canvas, you're going to feel a difference when you use hemp. It is a different material. It's like jeans, but tougher. And the supports are made strong. And I've posted stuff on Facebook about Canvas Land, and I've got some feedback from artists saying that the supports are expensive. And yeah, sometimes, nice things cost money. So, I can't buy them all the time. But if I'm having a good 3 months or so, I like to try to splurge on myself if I can, and it's worth it. These are very thick, sturdy supports, and I like heft. I want the stuff I paint on to last. I want it to feel strong, and when I sell my painting to someone else, I want to have confidence that it's going to last. And while I'm painting, I want to know that I'm painting on something that is sturdy and supportive. And like I said, canvas often and paper, it often feels soft, but this makes a difference when I paint. And canvasland.net is great. It's run by Chuck Volter, talented painter, businessman. And check it out. Buy one if you can. And it's a great place to get canvases. If, say, you get a commission, 5 weird sizes, they will custom make sizes for you and ship them. And, if you've got someone paying you to make some paintings of weird sizes, you're going to charge them. And you're going to want to use canvasland.net. You're going to want that opportunity to paint with freedom. Someone is paying you to make paintings, make sure you charge them the right amount. And, if you can tack on a little extra money to have the canvases made right, you can spend that time not building canvases, painting. So I try to do that. Anyway, it's a long spot, but canvasland.net, check them out. Hey everybody, this is Carl Smith. I'm doing a quick outro for the podcast with Shea Little. That was, great, man. He's a badass, hard worker, good artist, organizer, loves Austin, like, some of us that are here that love the city. And we're not obligated to stay here, but for the ones that do stay here and love the city and care about art being represented here and being a part of the culture of the city, we're kind of fighters in a way, not like fucking boxers, but, it's not easy. It's not an easy path. And it's cool when someone like Shea is positive and helpful and encouraging, and, the stuff that he does for our city is great. So, yeah, I want to thank you guys for listening. It's probably some females listening. And littleswec.com, LETTLESWEC.com has some of Shea Little's art. TexasBiennial.com, bigmedium.org. Those are things to check out. And I will see you guys at the next podcast. And girls, what the fuck am I saying? So thank you for listening. Talk to you all later. Bye.